we go.
Okay, so it's being recorded now.
Okay, well, first we'd like to thank everyone for coming and attending this webinar. So the agenda today, we're going to first introduce ourselves as the new co-chairs, and then we've got a presentation on online courses for mobile students by Soraya Garcia. Then we'll look at the impact of technology on reading comprehension and attitude of Kiswahili of young learners in Kenya by Alicia. And I'm sorry, Alicia, if you can help me with your last name. Ndegwa?
Yeah, you got it right.
Okay, good. And then we'll look at a telecollaborative study of university students in Spain and Sri Lanka using the Soqqle video app. So that will be presented by myself. And then investigating the use of Kahoot as an alternative to traditional homework in the Algerian EFL context. And then finally, we're going to wrap up by looking at some of the updates to the MALL SIG social media and to the MALL SIG website. So first, Martin, I guess if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I can just read out what's on the screen there, I guess. Yeah, so I'm working at the University of Limerick in the School of Modern Languages, and I'm very interested in kind of the role that technology plays in language learning, and in particular, self-directed language learning, and even more specifically, the role that smartphones can play in self-directed language learning. And we've, like Marni, I just came on board with the MALL SIG, what, 5 months ago now? So still finding my feet, but nice to meet you all, if I haven't already.
Good. And so myself, in English, I'll say that I'm a lecturer in Catalan, we say I'm an associate with the Department of English and German Studies at, in English, the University of Rovira and Virgili. And so I've received my doctorate at the university here in education and technology, focusing on computer-assisted language learning. I previously did my Master of Science and Bachelor of Arts in linguistics, more specifically psycholinguistics at the University of Alberta in Canada. And so we're going to now go to the presentations. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Just before we do, I am as we'll talk a little bit about later, I'm the person who is responsible for the Twitter feed. With your permission, I'd like to take some kind of screenshots as we go and tweet them in real time, if that's okay with people, just to kind of broadcast what we're doing a little bit. So if you have a problem with that, you can just let me know in the chat. And of course, I understand that. If there's no problem, I'd like to just take one screenshot of each presentation as we go and tweet about it in real time. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Perfect for me. Okay. So Soraya, if we can turn it over to you if you want to share your screen, and I look forward to hearing your presentation.
All right, thank you very much. And I can see as well my partner Elisa Rojas from University of Alcalá is here, has joined. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting us and for organizing this event. I think it's really interesting to see different views and what all of us are working on. We would actually like to share. Okay, all right. Okay, thank you, Lisa. All right, so so this is can you please go? So this is to the first page. So this is our Erasmus project, right? And it is a KA2 project, and we have started this project among the University of Alcalá and some other 4 institutions in Europe: a University of in Italy, Napoli Federico, Woods University in Poland, University of Latvia, and the European University Foundation. And here on the left, there is a picture of the team and of our website, which Elisa will present when I finish this little introduction. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So the idea of this project is actually to offer Erasmus students the possibility to increase a professional value to the Erasmus period abroad, just combining the online academic studies with the professional social experience. So the thing is, this project started in 2018 before the pandemic. So our actually project was innovative because there were no online courses were not usually offered at university. Or I mean certified online courses. So that was our innovation. So with this, we actually wanted to support a study and placement abroad. The idea was that the students, Erasmus students, could do an online study, an online course, while they could work or join a society or do some sports. I mean, not just attending university, but also do a studying abroad while working or offering them the possibility to work. So that was the main idea. So next, please. Sorry, Elisa. Okay, so that was the idea, right? So that they could, I mean, as you know, study at their own pace. So the idea was to offer an online catalog of courses that we, the 5 institutions, developed together. So these online courses were mainly from the fields of education, business, economics, engineering, and computing. So we were different areas. And all these areas offer different courses from each specific field, and we put them all together in a catalog developed by European University Foundation. So Erasmus students could accede to any of these online courses from any university in Europe. That's what we actually been doing. Even though we've been doing this, these 5 institutions have developed these courses. Actually, we have had students from many other universities in Europe. So they were not restricted, the online courses, only to our 5 institutions, but to any other international university. And actually, we have put them into practice. So because this is our last year, we are about to finish a project. So we have this catalog already finished, as Elisa will show you later. So as already mentioned, the idea was to develop employability, professional skills, and second language acquisition, improve the linguistic diversity and intercultural awareness. So those were the first premises. And we thought that this would contribute to innovation in the European higher space by creating this, by implementing this online training, certified online training, which implies the establishment of multilateral agreements on formal education recognition and certification. So this was actually the most difficult, and is still the most difficult part, because any university in Europe should recognize these online courses, and these multilateral agreements should be signed, and so we had to create a common methodology so that all universities would recognize these online courses. So the results are expected not only to facilitate Erasmus internship abroad, but also to enhance quality education with the use of these open educational resources. So actually the most innovative component was not only that of offering these, certifying these courses and recognizing them, but also to create a common online methodology. And that's what we have been working on, different universities in Europe to create an online course following the same methodology so that they could be recognized. And we think that the benefits would be to offer a common educational catalog, which we have done. This would benefit course visibility before the enrollment to the students, so that all the students could see at a glance all the courses delivered. It would allow flexible study times, not restricted to weekly timetables. Learners could learn and work at their own pace. It could be accessible from anywhere, as you know, mobile education with no limited access to college or university. They will provide an access to a variety of materials and resources because they could be provided by the universities. And the thing is, the main idea is to reuse intellectual capital so that they could actually share our own thoughts and methods. So this would be the intellectual outputs, and that's sort of the planning we have carried out. And with this, we have finished, and we go to the last, because this will be explained directly in our website by Elisa. So if you just, yeah. So this is some screenshots from our platform that Elisa will briefly explain now. So I have finished, this is my part. Thank you, Elisa. A microphone, yeah.
Yes, I was muted. Okay, so I'm now gonna share my screen with the website. Let me do it 1 sec. Okay. Okay, so I guess you should be able to see it now. Yeah, okay. So as Soraya mentioned, this project, well, even if shadowed by the COVID pandemic, initially it was really helpful for people traveling to other countries with the Erasmus grants and so on, because you know that you usually, I don't know if you've been an Erasmus student, probably yes, many of you. But usually when you travel to another country, you don't know what courses they offer, what are the compatibility, and it's very hard to find an exact match of your study plan in the destination, okay? So these courses, as a mobile opportunity, could offer this complementary knowledge to match your plan of studies, okay? Okay, so this is the web. If you want to check it, I don't know if you can see the URL, the address. Maybe not. If not, in any case, I'm going to share it later on, okay, with the chat. So basically, we have this initial web for the news and so on. So about the project, which are the partners? You can check here our project card. So the project is finalizing now in December. And basically,
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. So my presentation, okay, my name is Alicia Ndegwa, and my supervisor, Dr. Mar, is in the audience somewhere. So I'm a PhD student at the University of Rovira e Virgílio University, and I'm going to present my pilot study on the impact of gamification technology on reading comprehension and attitudes of Kiswahili on young learners in Kenya. So this is my outline, and I'm going to follow this sequence: my motivation, research questions, methodology, results, conclusions, and recommendation, and further research. My motivation is coming from the fact that in Kenya at present, the government is implementing a new education curriculum, and it's changing from the old one, which was more education-centered, traditional, with the teacher being the center of the sharing of information, and now it's going to more of competency-based. They have actually called it a competency-based curriculum. So this implementation started in around 2017, and we're still going on. But the education curriculum still is on the same lines as the previous education curriculum, which was based on the Dakar framework of action, which had 6 main goals, which focused on the improving of education quality in Africa. And for this research, the 2 goals which influence it are the goal number 3, which promotes learning and life skills, and goal number 6, which is improving of quality of education. One of the main things in the new curriculum is digital learning. It has really been emphasized, and they're really pushing that more digital learning is included in the classroom, which was not something that was there in the previous curriculum. And the advantage of this is that the students come now from being passive learners to being active, and the learning becomes more useful to them and they can understand the content better. For my research, what I'm looking at is the use of gamification app in Kiswahili, which is one of the national languages of Kenya, but it's the official language. So to explain that is, Kiswahili is used as an official language. Kiswahili has been recognized as being the main communicating language in the country. So for business, for law, for speaking just socially, but national language, it has been given the same level of importance as English, which means English can be used as well to explain some important things in the country. So that one is the law and government. It's recognized and it can be used. So why I looked at Kiswahili mainly is because Kiswahili, being one of the languages that is spoken, it's also a very important language in the sense of, in many cases, it's maybe the second or third language that someone speaks, and they may not be really good at it. So most of the time, someone will speak their mother tongue and then possibly English and then Kiswahili. So one or the second or the third language is usually not very good, depending on how often it's used. So in my case, where we are located, which is on the outskirts of Nairobi, English is common and as much as Kiswahili, but the problem is that the Kiswahili which is used isn't what you can say, it's not the proper Swahili. So to make sure that we all understand gamification is what was initially described in 2008 by Terrell as using game mechanics and applying them to other properties to increase engagement. In 2010, Bunchball explained this as using game mechanics as a fundamental action processes for controlling mechanisms that are applied to gamify an activity. So that will be the use of levels or badges or virtual goods or gifts in the process of gamifying an activity. And at the time, it was looked at mainly with the application used in web situations. My research is looking at 4 research questions. So how, if using a gamified app helps improve reading comprehension when learning Kiswahili, how effective gamification technology is in improving Kiswahili reading comprehension, how gamification technology influences the students' attitudes towards learning a second language, and how gamification technology influences the teachers in teaching a second language. The research was done in a private school on the outskirts of Kenya, in a small private school. And the school is teaching the local education system. So in the previous education system, as I said before, there was minimal digital learning. So the school actually didn't have any digital devices. The only things that they have in terms of technology is actual computer class where students actually learn computer and are introduced to computers. So for the experiment, there were 2 groups, the control group and the experimental group. And for the control group, there were 20 participants and they were using PDF. That means that material was uploaded into an email and we were able to access the email, and the students would view the material on a tablet in PDF and answer the questions on a piece of paper. And for the experimental group, it was through a gamification app called StratApp, and they were playing the same material was presented to them in a gamified way. So for both groups, there was the use, or for this research rather, there was the use of both qualitative and quantitative methods. For the qualitative methods, or rather for both qualitative and quantitative, before we started the test, there was all the students were given a pre-questionnaire and a pre-test. So we started with a pre-questionnaire for both the control group and experimental group. And the pre-questionnaire was looking at the attitudes of using technology or a gamified app for language learning. And the pre-test was just for reading comprehension and assessing the level that they were at before the experiment started. So for the experiment, we used tablets. And because the tablets were not enough, in the sense that each student was able to actually have their own tablet, we have 9 tablets. So for each group, they were sharing the tablets, 2 to 3 students per tablet, and doing the activities together in small groups. And so for both, when they were doing that, there was discussion going on. After they did the experiment, there was a post-test and a post-questionnaire. And now the questionnaire was looking at the attitudes of the students and at the attitudes of the students after using technology and a gamified app. And the pre-test was assessing their level on reading comprehension after using the technology, both for the control group and experimental group. For the findings in the control group, there was marginal improvement, but they did say they enjoyed using the technology. While for the experimental groups, there was a significant improvement, and they really, really enjoyed using the tablets and the gamified app. For the students who played using the gamified app, got much better results than those who used the PDF. Those were in the control groups. And when they were working in both groups, the control and experimental, they said that they got to understand better because they worked in small groups. So there was a lot more peer-to-peer discussion and debate, trying to understand the content that they had in front of them. And for, even if both were interested in the material that they had in front of them, the ones who used the gamified app really enjoyed it because the way it was presented, it was really engaging and interesting and fun for them. So for my recommendation, it's because this is still my pilot study, I will still keep on working with gamified apps to enhance the motivation of reading comprehension of Kiswahili. And I should note that when this app, it's going to be used as a support tool, not for the main class session. So after doing a class or in the middle of a class, the gamified app can be used so that the students can be able to practice their reading comprehension. And as the country is currently in the process of actually developing new materials and new sources of Kiswahili material, this gamified app actually has come right on time to actually expound it and make it more available to many people across the country. And as I continue doing this, now for my main research, I'll be able to widen the scope and use more schools with more participants as now my main research continues. And that's the end. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Alicia. Yeah, does anybody have any questions for Alicia?
I had one question I'd like to ask Alicia. You mentioned that kind of this study and the study of this technology is coming along at just the right time.
Yeah.
What is your hope that you can get, the wider educational community in Nairobi or beyond to to implement this more broadly than just, for example, in your own teaching or in a local kind of atmosphere or local context?
Yes, it is very possible. So like a couple of weeks ago, I was able to talk to a lecturer and in Kiswahili in one of the main universities in Kenya. And she was very excited about using this to actually expand the reach of Kiswahili, because what they're trying to do now, the main problem that we have is most of the material available is in books. So, and what is there on the internet is more short videos, which may not really be applicable in specific situations. So in something like this, what that lecturer said is that she'd be very excited to actually give her colleagues and other schools so that they can be able to use it to supplement their actual teaching. But at the moment, what we are trying to do is for this app, how it's available right now is that it's only available on online version. So someone has to have internet to be able to access it. So what we are working on is that to really make it accessible as far as possible outside the main cities in Kenya, is to make it be able to be accessible offline. So anyone can be able to access it whenever they want and practice many more topics so that it is more, it's wider. Because right now it's really, can you say small, in the sense of the material is not yet enough for it to actually be used in a wider way.
All right, great. That's a very detailed answer. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good. And any other questions for Alicia? Okay, well, thank you, Alicia. I believe
Thanks.
then my presentation is up next, so I'll share the screen here.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you everyone for coming to the presentation today, and in advance for your participation and for your attention. What I'm going to be discussing in this talk is a telecollaborative study of university students in Spain and Sri Lanka using the Soqqle video app. So this is done here in Spain at URV, but also with Piyumi at NSBM Green University. Piyumi is also part of the MALL SIG, but she wasn't able to attend today. So what we're going to look at first, I'm going to explain what the Soqqle app is and how it works, just go over our research questions, who our participants are, our procedure, and some of the preliminary results. So first, the Soqqle app, which was created by Daniel Shen in Indonesia. This is a video-based app for homework used for education. And how this, the reasons why you would want to incorporate Soqqle into your classroom is that it functions just like social media. So when students post videos or photos, you can go in and comment on them. You can like the video, you can follow the person. So you've got that engagement aspect. But what's different from regular social media apps is that being an education-based platform, there's privacy in mind in the way that this app was created. So there's private class codes. So when you upload videos, you're putting in a specific code for that assignment or that particular class. So only the teacher and the other classmates are able to see the video. There's also social analytics where you can go, teachers can go onto the web page and view the different analytics from the videos to see who's liking, commenting, and sharing. With experimental learning and game-based learning, we didn't really get into game-based with this particular study, but this is also the first telecollaborative study using this app. Most other studies before that have done it just within the classroom. There is a new telecollaborative study that has started with this particular app, but this is between Hong Kong and Japan, I believe. This is the first time this app was tested in Europe. So it's still in beta mode, but how you would use Soqqle is that first the students would create a video, and they can just do this using their regular camera or video editing app, and then they would upload the video into Soqqle with the appropriate class tag. And then once the video is uploaded and they've added something to that tag, they can then see videos from their classmates and then like and comment on the different videos. So the focus really here is on peer-to-peer learning to encourage collaboration and to encourage feedback. And so what we were interested in with this particular study is we wanted to see that when we have students both in Spain and Sri Lanka creating videos together, we're creating these short videos, well, not together, but through the same app, will creating these videos in this project increase their cultural awareness and intercultural competence. And second, we did also incorporate a synchronous aspect into this study. We wanted, because there were so many students, we wanted them to be able to have an opportunity to ask questions to some of the students in a synchronous environment. So we did have 2 Zoom conversations, and we wanted to see if the Zoom conversations and in the video creation activities, if those enhance the students' EFL listening and speaking skills. And finally, we were just interested if the students enjoyed incorporating videos into the EFL classroom. So our participants, we had 58 students in the second-year English degree program. They range from 18 to 25, but the majority of them are 19. And there were 120 students in the Business English program at NSBM Green University. So we had more Sri Lankan students. The range for both classes is A2 to C2. And just one moment here. So what we did is we focused on a pre-questionnaire and a post-questionnaire, which I'll get into in a moment. There were 5 Soqqle tasks, or 5 videos that they had to create. There was a 2-week period between the videos, and this was from October through December, and the 2 Zoom conversations that I'd mentioned. So with the pre-questionnaire, what we were looking at was assessing what the students knew. So we wanted to set a baseline of what they knew of their collaborating partners in the foreign countries. So there's questions on can they locate the country on a map? Do they know what the official languages are? Are you familiar with any of their traditions, etc.? And then we also asked some questions related to what they expected or anticipated from this particular study. Again, there were 5 video tasks that they had to do. The first was on food, the second around town, the third was music, the fourth was activities, sports or hobbies, and the fifth was animals. And I'll show some examples here. So with the first one, the instructions that we gave was just to take a video of your food and discuss the food that you're eating. And we kind of expected that people would just, go to Burger King and say, this is what I'm having for dinner, or just show what they're having for dinner. So our expectations were actually quite low based on what we got back from the students. And what we ended up getting were full out cooking shows from both schools, where the students had put out all of the ingredients with pre-measured, and they talked through the whole process of how to make each dish. So we've got the 2 on the left were students from Spain, the other 3 were students from Sri Lanka. You can see here that as an instructor, I went in and I gave feedback to the Spanish students. So to record that they knew that I was watching, I gave feedback. Piyumi, because she had so many students, she just asked them to send her a screenshot of each of the videos. But I had also gone through and liked each of the videos that I had watched, and I commented on most of them. And so this way they got feedback, and then I could also go through and see the comments from the other students. In regards to the street view, what a lot of the students did, they just walked down the street in their town, or they went on a hike by a castle. Some of the students were in a moving vehicle and showed us what the streets looked like when somebody else was driving. And some of the students did actual video montages where they took stock photography of their hometown and put it together almost like an advertisement for a vacation or travel company. And the next one for music, with music, we were seeing things like their playlist or concerts that they had attended before the pandemic. Some of the students played instruments right in the video, and some of the students just discussed music in general or what music means to them. For the activities, we had a lot of students that showed us themselves participating in sports. Any of the screenshots that I'm showing, I didn't want to show any of the students' faces. So here we're seeing someone had created a cartoon with their own voice overlay on reading books, some stock photography of some of their hobbies. So that's what we were generally getting for this task. And then finally, we saw a lot of their house pets as the last one. For students who did not have pets, they discussed what animals meant to them, or they went and videoed their neighbors or friends' animal. So those were the 5 tasks that they did. And then there were the 2 Zoom conversations, which was the synchronous part. And we put them into groups based on a pairing survey. So the students answered based on what their interests were. And we found students with common interests. There were 19 groups named after letters of the Greek alphabet, with 3 to 4 students from Spain and 7 to 9 students from Sri Lanka. The first conversation was in October, and their objective was just to discuss what a typical student day looks like for them. And the second conversation is actually happening this week, so the study has not completed yet, but it's just a discussion of showing images and talking about traditional events and holidays, so they can just get to know the cultures a little bit more. And once they've completed all the tasks, they do get the post questionnaire. This one assesses what the students know of the foreign culture after this project is complete. And it also asks them about their own perceptions of how they feel, or what they feel they've learned from participating in this project. And so I do have some of the preliminary results. As I mentioned, some of the conversations are still ongoing. So you can see that with the pre-questionnaire, we have quite a few more students that have answered, but you can see that at the onset, asking the students if they could easily locate Sri Lanka on the map, and these are just responses from the students in Spain. A large portion of them said no, they could not find Sri Lanka on a map. So thankfully that number is much smaller right now. But also looking at knowing which languages are the official languages of Sri Lanka. Again, at the onset, we've got a lot of students who said no and very few that said yes, where the portion of students who did not know what the official languages were has decreased quite a bit. In regards to how they would rate their own language level on the CEFR scale, at the onset, this is 5 students in B1. Again, this is 5 here, so this is not complete, but we had the majority showing in B2. In the second one, there was a typo on the electronic questionnaire, which I corrected. So the students in the final column here showing as other are actually C1 students. So right now, the majority of students are showing that they're C1. Of course, there could be many confounding variables as to why they feel their language level increased. It could be the whole semester in general. But interestingly enough, I do have one student who feels at least that their language level has gone down. Maybe they felt they were over-assessing themselves at the beginning. But then looking at some of their perceptions, when asking the students, watching the videos of their peers and the students in Sri Lanka increase their language listening skills, we've got for strongly agree and agree, that's at least half. And participating in the Zoom calls increased listening and speaking skills. Again, we've got a good portion that either agree or strongly agree. And again, as I said before, this is preliminary. And this is only a snapshot of some of the questions, not all of the questions. but also looking at would they recommend this telecollaboration project. We've got a pretty large number, over 75% either agree or strongly agree. But what was also interesting was in recommending creating videos as part of an EFL class to increase language skills, there wasn't a single student so far that has disagreed that creating videos would enhance language skills in an EFL class. And I just wanted to show just a little bit of feedback from one of the open-ended questions on asking the students what they felt they learned the most by participating in this project. And I'll just read number 26 here. I believe that this opportunity has allowed me to improve my English skills. Speaking in front of the camera has helped me practice public speaking. In addition, we've had a great time together sharing our opinions and personal tastes. It has been a wonderful project and has helped me learn from other cultures and people. And just another one that I'll read is number 19. I was already aware of the cultural difference, but seeing their videos and traditions and how beautiful they are, I was amazed. They look like they came out of a book or movie. They have amazing natural landscapes. So in summary, the students appear so far to have learned from another culture, including the cultural dishes, cultural events, and the climate. They appear to believe their speaking and listening skills have improved through communication and listening to a different dialect of English. And the majority of students appear to have enjoyed participating in this project. Okay, so this brings me to the end of this talk. Does anybody have any questions?
Marni, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So thank you so much for the presentation. I've really enjoyed it. And I find this the experiment that you've conducted extremely interesting. I may have lost something, but
Okay.
was this part of, I mean, you were working to different groups, right? One here and one in Sri Lanka.
Right.
My question is this part of a small project within a subject, or did you use the whole time of a subject to do all these projects? I know that you presented it in 10 minutes and you didn't have enough time.
Yeah. This was just one of the parts of what we were doing within a subject. So my students were still going through and doing their regular presentations, their regular listening tests, and going through some of the theory, but this was just an additional portion of it.
Okay, so this additional portion is the one in which they were working together, right?
Right.
So the rest of the course, they were working, the Spanish ones and the Indian ones.
Right. So they had their regular coursework, and then this was just integrated as part of the course.
Oh, because this is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just thinking how I could do that with my students as well. Thank you so much, Marni.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
And I just had a quick question as well, Marni. I mean, did any of these students, this is I guess it's a form of kind of, virtual exchange.
Yes.
Did they have any previous experience doing this? It's a big topic these days, but it's kind of, in some countries, it's quite common. In other countries, it's almost untouched. So I was wondering what experience they had.
So this is actually my third telecollaboration study that I've done personally. And last year in teaching this class, we participated in the COIL project, where we had students just do 5 Zoom calls with students from California. And the challenge with the Zoom calls is the time zone difference. So what I liked about this one was that it had both asynchronous and synchronous. So the videos they could do in their own time, and they didn't feel like they were always pressed for that time difference to set up Zoom calls. These students had participated in a telecollaboration last year in reading and writing in a different COIL project in one of their first year classes. And they did say to me at the beginning that they didn't quite enjoy that project, in that with a lot of the reading and writing as first year students in the English program, I think they felt it took a lot out of them. But I was lucky with this class because I've got students in this class who are just for fun are creating a video or a movie. They've written and they're directing a movie. So so they're quite creative, and their skill set for this particular class in being able to create videos and is quite high. And they're actually quite comedic. So there are times that I've just gone through and looked at the videos and I'm laughing so hard I'm crying. But yeah.
Great, thank you.
Good. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So Marni and Martin, good job for organizing this. Hats off to you.
Thanks.
And as a question for Marni, so you said that you were calling this a telecollaboration project, but then I was going to mention, don't you think it's a COIL project? But then I guess you mentioned that already, so I guess it's a COIL and a telecollaboration project.
Yeah, well, COIL is a specific acronym for a very specific group of it's a type of telecollaboration, but it's based out of sunny California. And so when people participate in COIL, it's participating universities where they only find their collaborating partners through that organization. So I guess I could say COIL is the organization.
So originated in the US.
Yeah, in California.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
And oh, go ahead.
So yeah, the reason I ask is because I'm trying to work on a COIL project through with a Japanese colleague here, and with schools in Australia and a school in several parts of Japan, and we're trying to get funding for this. And I was wondering what costs were involved. You say use the app. If you paid developers or something to make the app, or if you could give an insight into the costs involved here.
There were no costs involved.
But nothing, really?
No.
Not even that.
I happened to meet the app creator. He actually found me in a social media group and just said, hey, you have experience in this field in education and technology. Can you proofread a paper that somebody has written that, about an app I created? So I said, sure. So I proofread the paper and I said, well, can I do a study with this app?
Oh, nice.
So that's how I met him. But right now, if you want to do studies and test the app, you can do so for free.
So that this particular one's Soqqle, was it? What was the name of it again? Soqqle. It's not publicly available yet.
It's not rolled out. It's in beta testing. So it's not rolled out to the public, but it is free for researchers to test if your intention is to write a publication about it.
Interesting. Okay. So there were no costs involved. I guess you didn't have to go to Sri Lanka.
Yeah, no cost involved. And I met Piyumi through the MALL SIG in August. We were just started a side conversation.
Wow.
And so I said,
incredible.
hey, would you be interested in doing this? She said, I'm on board. And because this is my third telecollaboration, it's like, okay, this is just really easy to set up and this is how we're going to do it.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I just wonder, Marni, if it will cost at some point in the future.
It may.
Once they're established, and if they've especially established that they can do a good job, right? It might be something that the price starts to creep in. So Bruce, get onto it while they're still in development and they're looking for input, before they get all the input they
Good
need.
advice. Thank you.
And because it's in beta testing, there was at the very beginning, some of the students found it very difficult because they thought it would work just like TikTok. And so they would put in hashtag Tarragona, hashtag this. And so it wasn't going to the right tag. So the students in Sri Lanka couldn't see their videos, and Sri Lanka was putting them under hashtag G class and not under the right tag, because we had the students practice in their own class and gave them class tags. So because they used the wrong tags, it wasn't working. And so sometimes the students were feeling a little frustrated. So it's a bit of a learning curve, but the tag has to be proper in order for it to attach the right tag for everybody to see it. And so there have been like a couple little bugs that we found when working with this, that at the very beginning, it's like, okay, well, we're learning this process. So a couple of the students were a little bit frustrated, but once they figured it out, it's like, okay, now this is easy.
Okay, thanks for that.
Good. Okay, and so then our final presentation, Ikram, I think that is yours.
Yes.
Okay, so if you can share your screen, and the floor is all yours.
Should start. Yeah. Can you all hear me? Okay.
We can't see your screen quite yet.
Yeah. So hello, my name is Ikram Khansal. I am a second year PhD student at the University of Limerick. My supervisor, Dr. Liam Murray, and Dr. Martin Mullen, who is present today with us. Today I'm going to be presenting my topic entitled The Integration of, sorry, just let me share the screen for a second. Yeah. Can you all see the screen?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So my topic is going to talk about the investigation of the use of Kahoot as an alternative to traditional homework methods used in the EFL Algerian context. My presentation will go through the following points. Now, first of all, I'm going to be giving you guys an introduction on the context and overview of my topic. Looking back at of course, the importance of homework and it being an indispensable cornerstone in the language learning, several of its characteristics have been substantially analyzed through the last decade. However, not much investigation has been done regarding the format of homework delivery. Now, it is known that homework practices, of course, vary from one teacher to another, and tutors themselves, of course, in terms of delivery and quality differ. However, most teachers from elementary and middle school, they tend to assign homework tasks and activities in the traditional format. That is traditional, also called as traditional homework. A considerable amount of research throughout the last few decades have explored the contribution of traditional homework in students' engagement and academic achievements. Nevertheless, of course, there's existing literature that highlighted the fact that traditional homework formats may also have some inconveniences. So this means, for example, teachers at the beginning of each school day, they need to circulate among their students. They need to keep track of the completion of homework tasks. They need to issue consequences for those students who did not complete their work, as well as they need to be aware of all the areas that their students struggle with in order to be able to provide feedback. Usually, traditional homework feedback is only returned to students until the next class, which probably would delay the process of feedback to the learners. Now, with the increased use of technology and specifically, in this case, mobile devices, in the educational context, several researchers have suggested that maybe online homework may provide a solution to these previously mentioned problems. That is why my research will be investigating the perception of Algerian middle school EFL teachers with respect to the integration of mobile language learning apps. In this case, I have chosen to work with the app Kahoot. This app will be an alternative or a replacement to traditional homework methods used or to certain traditional homework methods used. Now, my research questions will move from how do these EFL teachers perceive the traditional homework methods used to the extent to which the integration of these mobile apps may influence or change teachers' pedagogical approaches when it comes to homework. Moving on to the methodology, first of all, I will be recruiting teachers through a survey. The survey will basically investigate teachers' current homework methods used. It will investigate also the familiarity of teachers with the different technological platforms, including the apps. It will also investigate the perception of phones as tools for language learning and language use. Basically, this survey will be a Google form, and it will be circulated via middle school EFL teachers' Facebook groups. Next, I will conduct an interview with the chosen sample. The interview will investigate the type of homework these teachers usually assign. It will also investigate their previous experience with the different mobile language learning apps. Then teachers will be trained on how to use the app Kahoot for formative assessment. The training will be held online. It can be based on 2 sessions, for example, where teachers will be given tutorials on how to create homework assignments using the app. Teachers, of course, will then be assigning homework to their students on the app, and the data from the app will then be collected for or by the teachers for their own further analysis, of course. Finally, and as a final stage, I will conduct interviews again. These interviews will analyze the views of the data collected by the app. It will investigate teachers' attitudes, perceptions also of the use of Kahoot as an alternative to the traditional pen and paper homework. It will also investigate the use of generally mobile language learning apps as tools, as instructional tools. Finally, and as possible contributions of the study, of course, I anticipate that my study after the investigation will will investigate, for example, the potential use of mobile phones, precisely mobile apps, of course, as instructional tools for homework. Teachers will be maybe in a better position to understand what kind of homework they assign their students, and they will consequently be able to make more informed plans for employing language learning apps in their own teaching, of course. Furthermore, these teachers or this study can contribute to teacher training concerning the use of mobile assisted language learning apps as tools for formative assessment, which could maybe be included in the initial teacher education training or the pre-service service training, for example. These are the references I have been using. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, do not hesitate. Thank you very much. Sorry.
Thank you, Ikram. Does anybody have any questions?
She has heard enough questions from me over the last year and a half. So
yeah, definitely.
if anyone else has any. You're just getting some rounds of applause there, Ikram, from
Thank you.
people with what I imagine are Algerian names.
Probably.
Actually, I have a question. Do you find that the students are very receptive, or like, what is their attitude towards using Kahoot? Like, are they excited about it? Are they?
Concerning the Algerian context, I do not have a clear idea on the matter because I'm not aware if any of the apps are used in the Algerian context to begin with. For Kahoot, I do know that some students are aware that a certain app like that exists, However, I do not know if it's used for educational purposes, for example. Is it only for entertaining? So it depends, actually. It depends on the data I will collect soon.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. Ikram?
Yes.
Yeah. So my name is Bruce. I'm in Japan. I use Kahoot quite a lot. And generally speaking, it always causes like rages of excitement. And everyone always gets like super excited whenever we use Kahoot and they're competing with each other. Maybe I missed this in the way in your slides, but how exactly did you use it? Or how many questions did you have? That kind of thing.
I have not used Kahoot yet. I will be using Kahoot. Hopefully. Yeah. So I have.
So you haven't done it yet?
No. Yeah. I'm just at the beginning stage of my research. So hopefully.
Okay, right. Sorry, that's big.
Also, if I may, like, ask answer the question, also the questions that I will integrate in Kahoot will basically depends on the types of homework teachers give their students. So, for example, I know that there's a wide variety of homework activities. There's grammar, listening, reading, writing. So it actually depends on each teacher. So if a teacher, for example, only gives a grammar homework, that could be, for example, introduced into, let's say, 10 questions. These students can answer the questions once they get home. After, of course, they get the link from their teacher. So that will be it.
Unfortunately, the bad thing about Kahoot now is that I think Martin was alluding to this, is that the cost involved for all these ICT tools, and they used to be free, everything was free, and now it's not. So if you want to do anything other than just the multiple choice questions,
exactly,
and there's only a limit of, I think, is it 10?
Exactly. I was aware of this actually. I was aware that Kahoot is the free version is very limited.
Very limited.
The plan now, of course, is Kahoot, but I am also open to new platforms in the future.
Two or three others.
Sorry?
We have 2 or 3 others that I know similar. Well, quizzes. Do you know quizzes?
Yeah.
Or I was going to say Flipgrid and Quizlet, but they're kind of different. Flipgrid and Quizlet offer something similar, I guess.
Yeah.
Flipgrid for videos, Quizlet for vocabulary. I say, good luck with that. I hope it works.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Ikram. So finally, we're just going to go through some of the changes that we've done with the MALL SIG since August. So Martin and I have been a little bit busy. Martin, I guess if you want to talk about Twitter.
Yeah, I will do. And just bear with us for just a few more minutes, okay? We'd just like to go through some of these changes that we've made. And also we're asking for you to kind of contribute to the website and so on. So bear with us. So first of all, we do have a new Twitter account. The old one, once you get locked out of one, they're pretty hard to get back into. We discovered. So it was easiest to just set one up. And I've tweeted for each of the presentations today. I don't, Ikram, I know your Twitter handle, so you've been tagged, but the rest of you haven't been. But if you're not following already, please do. If you're not retweeting, please do. We want to get our name out there. And we also have a Facebook page. That's not new, but again, I'm going to take some of the pictures that I took for Twitter today, the screenshots, and I'm going to put them in as a little post on Facebook later on. So again, please follow us if you're on Facebook, and please share again to help us spread the MALL SIG and build our profile.
Good. And the Facebook page is the same one that was previously used. We were able to easily take this one over. So we've kept it the same. Just Martin's been doing a lot of work in updating this page. We've also added an Instagram account. So this account is new. The MALL SIG wasn't on Instagram before. So if you're on Instagram and you want to follow a lot of the updates, you may also see some images from the presentations here appearing in Instagram. I thought it was a good idea because there's a small business in Europe that named themselves Eurocall, so I'm trying to take that hashtag back. And we're also sending out a newsletter, and I'm using MailChimp for this. So far we've sent out 3 newsletters. For some members, we're usually using most of the university IDs. So depending on the security settings with your server at your university, you may not have received one if you're a member of Eurocall and we have your email address on file, because it may be filtered out. So if you're interested in receiving the newsletters and you haven't been able to receive one so far, please feel free to send us your email address or a personal email address so we can get that in there. So any newsletters we send out, you will be able to receive. Now looking at the websites, one of the big things that we started with in updating the website is updating the members list. So going through and contacting each of the people on here, hoping that we're getting a response for them to see if, one, they're still part of the MALL SIG, if not, to remove that member and then to add in new members. So if anybody wants to be a member of the MALL SIG that's not on here and their name is not on the website, please let us know. You do have to be a member of Eurocall to be a member of the MALL SIG. But once you have your name on this list, we can put together a full member page, which can include your profile picture, your bio, links to your social media if you wish, links to your CV if you wish, and any institutional pages or links to publications. So if you want any links put into your bio, we can certainly do that. I've used Simon's profile here. I'm assumed he wouldn't mind. Another thing that we've really focused on is adding all of the research projects. So under research projects here, this page is dedicated to any of the projects with grants or funding. So that goes right under research projects, which includes all past projects. So if there are any past projects that are not on here, please let us know. But we also have a page for other research work. So this could be any ongoing projects that are not funded, or any doctoral theses or any projects there. We would love to add those to the website as well. Just if there's any members that want their research featured, funded or unfunded. Another big thing that we were working on was getting all of the publications listed. And so with the publications, they're sorted by year. And the idea of this is that this should be a one-stop shop for members of the MALL SIG. So you can find all of the publications by other MALL SIG members in here so we can cite each other. And this is a great resource for PhD students. So when you go into each of the publication pages, I've tried to include all the DOIs or links to any of the websites where these are sourced from right in here, with each of the references cited in APA format already. So you should be able to just copy and paste right out of here if you're looking at building a reference list. So definitely, if you're working on a new publication in MALL, check out the publications page on the MALL SIG website. Or if you're supervising PhD students, this is a good resource to send them to if they're working in this field. And the last thing that we have here is the apps and software. So anyone in the MALL SIG who has previously had a grant to build an app, we've added those apps in here. So if there are any that are missing, please let us know so we can add them to the web page. And so, Martin, I guess if you want to tell us what's next for the MALL SIG.
Yeah, I will. But just before I do, just on that question of publications, and I'm just going to use myself as an example of this. So I applied sometime last year to present at Eurocall this year. I gave a presentation at Eurocall online. I took the opportunity to submit a short paper, which was published just, I think, last week. And on the back of that paper, I've been invited to publish, well, I have to, they may reject it still, but at least I have the opportunity to publish a full-length paper in the Australian Journal of Applied Linguistics next year. So, you know, get involved is what we really want to say. What's next for the MALL SIG is to get as many people involved as possible. You know, it's little events like this and bigger events coming, use them to build your own profile as well. We have our online event in March, which will be, I think, something similar to this, but we'll try to make it bigger. Then there is, as always, the symposium at the next Eurocall in Iceland in 2022. It'll be in Iceland, but also it will be hybrid already. We know this. The call for submissions for Eurocall 22 is coming soon. We invite you, we hope you will submit something, and even better, we hope you will submit something that is MALL related. Maybe that could even be a part of the symposium, and just something, again, to help us build the profile of this SIG, okay? So that more and more people are aware of it and more people want to be part of it. I think, unless Marni has anything else to add, I would just like to say thanks to Marni for doing so much work on the website, and thanks for organizing this and dealing so promptly with our interruption earlier on. It's good to work with you, Marni. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have registrations for the next online event.
Yes, we learned a valuable lesson today.
Yeah, very impressed.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. It was great to see everyone today, and we look forward to seeing you at future events.
Okay, take care, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.